sun, my heart's aligned. Peaceful and strong, this life is mine. Unstoppable steps, I move with grace. Accomplished and calm, I claim my space. The mirror reflects the truth I see. Slim and healthy, I'm proud to be. With youthful strength, I freely roam. This vibrant body feels like home. I rise on the hard path where dreams unfold. A life of freedom, a story bold. From all I create to the love I give, I rise, I shine, this is how I live. My home's a haven, calm and bright, with gardens blooming in soft sunlight. A deck to gather, a pool to play, a sanctuary space to end my day. My work inspires, it lights the way, empowering women to seize their day. Through retreats, my voice and all I've planned, I help them rise and take their stand. I rise on the hard path where dreams unfold. A life of freedom, a story bold. From all I create to the love I give, I rise, I shine, this is how I live. Across valleys, shores, and Europe's streets, adventure calls where dreams and purpose meet. With loved ones near or solo flight, every journey feels just right. Cars that gleam, my clothes just flow. An effortless life wherever I go. My business thrives, I lead with care. A world of abundance is waiting there. I rise on the hard path where dreams unfold. A life of freedom, a story bold. From all I create to the love I give, I rise, I shine, this is how I live. With family's joy and laughter near, I walk this path with love and cheer. I'm balanced, warm and strong and true. I shine with purpose in all I do. This is my moment, my heart's design. I rise and thrive, the world is mine. On the hard path where dreams take flight, I shine my brightest, my guiding light.
Hello everyone and welcome, and thank you for joining me for this month's Rise and Thrive session. This is something I've really loved doing every month, and back into it after my trip to Bali. Missed a couple of months, so we're back into it. So tonight we're talking about aligned connections, and this is about finding the people, spaces or community that feel right for who you are now. And this session is not a session about how to become more social or how to collect more friends, or even how to make everyone like you. That's not what it's about. It's about becoming clearer on the kind of connection that you want in your life, be it friendship, romantic, companionship, that nourishes you and recognises what may have changed in your relationships in the past and maybe going forward, and considering how you might invite more meaningful connection into your life without forcing it. And maybe you might like to have a journal nearby or a piece of paper or something like that, and give you a few opportunities to write and reflect as we go through this process. And there's no pressure to share anything personal tonight. And this can simply be a time for you to listen, notice, and just consider what really feels right for you right now. So let's just take a moment to arrive and just let your shoulders drop in. And let's just steady your breath. Take a breath in and let it go. And just relax, because you've got nowhere else to be for the next hour. This is a time that you've taken out for yourself, and I appreciate that. So let's do that. So one of the things that we don't always talk about is how much our relationships can change as we move through different seasons of life. Sometimes there's an obvious ending, and that could be that there's been a disagreement or some kind of a separation, or something significant in life has happened. And it could be that someone has moved away, maybe another person moved away, maybe you've moved away, something like that. And this is how relationships evolve. Doesn't necessarily have to be dramatic. The relationship may still be there, and there could be times when you still might contact people. You might follow each other on social media. You might have little messages here and there. Maybe you see each other at the shops, that kind of thing. You still care for each other, but you might not necessarily be in each other's circle of influence anymore because of circumstances. Okay, so and it could be just like if you've moved locations, then it may not be as easy to maintain that because of the distance, obviously. And for many women, a lot of connections are formed around their children. So when as they're growing up, these are the people that you might see outside the classrooms. Your child gets invited to a birthday party, and you go to the birthday party and you see the mums there, and there's school events, there's weekend sport, there's all of these kinds of things. And these are the kinds of people that you see quite regularly. So even though you may not have intended for these people to become friends, they often do. And it's because they're in the same place and time as you. They're going through similar things. Their children are the same age as yours, and you have a lot in common. Then as the children get older and they move to high school, sometimes what happens is the children go to different schools, so you kind of might not see them as much. The children become more independent and they stop playing a sport, and suddenly you don't see the people that you used to see anymore. And that natural meeting point that you had kind of disappears a little bit. So this is something that has happened for me and my son, my oldest son. When he was growing up, he was heavily into sport, and he lived and died and breathed for football, and he wasn't too bad for it, at it. But then, and so we'd see these mums every week at training and all of that kind of thing, and he was playing for the school. And as he got older, it became harder for him to make the team, and he loved it so much, but his physique didn't really speak into him being a footballer. He's like a string bean, and he still is. He's like 23 now, and he's still like a string bean. And it became very obvious as he got into sort of like year 7 and year 8 that he was competing against boys who were going through puberty, and their bodies were all developing all differently, and some of them were starting to get a lot of muscle mass, and they were really starting to bulk up, whereas he didn't have that. So because of that, the involvement in the football crowd changed. and then I kind of lost connection to that part of the community because he was at high school. At high school, you don't go and stand outside the classroom waiting for it to finish. And then the Saturday morning sport was finished and all of those kinds of things. So we still see each other in the shops and all of that kind of thing, but everyone kind of like moved on and had their different locations. And some of the boys, they were very good, and they then moved on to different teams. So it kind of just evolved in like a different space that everyone was in. So this happens for many women, and it doesn't necessarily have to be, but even with your children at school, and it can happen at work as well. And I've seen it in the workplaces that I've been involved in, that you spend a lot of time with these people and you get to know them very well. And then, depending on what else you have happening, you then might start having more friendly relationships with them, going out with them, and all of this kind of thing. And it might sound, it might like feel really close. Then one of you changes jobs, so you might promise to keep in touch, but then it does get more difficult because time pressures and all of that kind of stuff. So it didn't mean that any of this connection wasn't meaningful. It's just for that chapter of our lives, we were there and we were taking what we needed from it at the time. So when the new season rewrites itself, there's a new rhythm that comes along, and this is why I really love this. That some of my friends who had really good school connections, they still have their mums group, and they make an effort to meet each other once a term. And I know that there's still some even like when you have babies and you're in like a mother's group, some of them are still meeting years after. And that is such a beautiful thing to happen because it really provides that connection. It's so nice. And there's really no force about it. It's just like really nice. So, yeah, so this can happen just naturally over this time. And it's not that anything happened. So there's just sometimes there's mutual things that happen, and it's not that you're chasing the relationship or anything like that. It just happens. Okay, so, and I've been in situations before with myself where I have had to realign my friendships and a relationship that I have because it was very, I felt from me, it was very one-sided. There was a lot, seemed to be a lot giving a lot, and there didn't seem to be a lot in return. So that friendship was one that I have kind of let go as well. So sometimes you do it deliberately, sometimes it just happens. That's just how it evolves. Okay, so I'm going to give you a few minutes to reflect on the connections that have existed through different stages of your life. And you don't have to answer every question. Simply notice which one catches your attention. So you might think about these, kind of relationships. So which relationship in your life grew around your children? If you've had children, maybe you've had relationships that have grown around work or a sporting club or a neighbourhood area or some other kind of role that you may have had. And if we just take a moment to reflect on those relationships and honour them and just really remember them, because they may not be there anymore, but they were there for that particular time, and they are really part of your history, and they're part of the people have shaped you to be the people that you are today, to be the woman that you are today. And which of those connections continued after the environment was changed? So maybe you moved jobs, maybe the children scenario has happened to you where the children have gone to the high school, and then but you still kept that beautiful connection with some of the people from the primary school. So you may be in a situation like that where it's continued and you've nurtured it. And then think about if there's someone that you still care about, but you rarely see because the natural meeting point is no longer there. And I know myself, I have a few of those people, and I consciously try and remind myself to message them and just say, I must message them because we haven't touched base for a while, just to check in to see, hey, how are you going? Hope everything's fine, that kind of thing. Hmm. And think about where in your life the connections may have become less automatic. And potentially for women, this is an area that can be problematic in if you are had romantic relationships, and then you that has dissolved and you're striving for a new one, but it doesn't feel as if it's as easy. Okay, so this is where the less automatic can come into it. And then maybe think about, is there an existing relationship that you would like to kind of renew, give a new rhythm to, make it refresh it in some way? So I might just, have a little think about those. You could think about them, you could write about them. And then as you're writing, or even if after you've finished, if you're watching on the replay, just press pause. Maybe you might want to circle or underline anything that feels important that's sticking out to you at the moment. Because if you're getting a feeling now about it, maybe there's something that needs to have more exploration around it. And you don't need to decide what it is yet because maybe you don't know. We're just simply noticing anything that, as we're writing it, is sending some signals through your body, or you're really feeling as if, okay, yeah, this is something I really need to attend to, find out more about, contact that person, or something like that. Now, when we talk about finding our people, it can sound as though we're, looking for people exactly like us, but that's not what we're doing. What we're doing is we're looking for someone who is aligned to us. Doesn't mean they're identical, um, but what it does mean is that if you find someone who feels right for you, and they don't necessarily have to agree with everything, and there can be some of my good friends. You would kind of think, oh, how did they're kind of like don't like it's like how can I explain this? It's like they plug parts of me and I plug parts of them. So that's where the alignment comes in. So it's about feeling what's possible within the relationship, and you can then feel how you can help each other, how you can assist, nurture, that kind of thing, because that's where that's kind of like where the plug-in, that's what I like to call it, like a plug-in in there. So in an aligned connection, you don't constantly feel that you need to perform, and there's room for both people. So I mentioned earlier about a friendship that I had just let fall by, and this was one of the reasons why. Um, it didn't feel as if there was room for both of us in there. So I chose myself in that instance. It's not that we don't still see each other, we don't talk to each other. It's not that. We still do, but it's not. We are not as close as what we used to be. You can be honest with the person without feeling that the entire relationship will disappear. And this is really important because this is about mutual respect. And when there's mutual respect, there's mutual interest, there's mutual effort, and it's kind of like that unconditional feeling that you could be really honest and know that they will be listening, and maybe they will give advice. Maybe they're just there to listen. It's, everyone has a different way of doing it. So you're not required to shrink yourself to belong. We don't want that in a relationship as well. That's not aligned. Someone who, if you're in an aligned relationship, you really would be celebrating each other for the awesome people that you are, no matter what's happening. So no one should be too much. No one should feel like they're not enough. You can both be too much. However, it is that's in alignment to you. But if one of you is feeling as if you need to be less to belong in this relationship, then it's not going to be a very aligned relationship. And if you have an interaction with someone and they make you feel good, they make you feel nourished, settled, energized, and they really understand you, and you feel like they're really listening to you, then I feel like that is really the essence of what we're looking for in an aligned relationship. And it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be easy, because relationships always have to have give and take. Regardless of the nature of the relationship, there always has to be some amount of compromise and listening and all of those kinds of things. Doesn't necessarily mean it's always going to be easy, but healthy is the word. So when it's healthy, it does mean that these awkward conversations can be heard, and if there's any misunderstandings or any differences that do come up, that they are dealt with in a healthy way. Honestly, safety, all of those kinds of words that you kind of really, they're feel-good words for a reason, because without them, then I don't really feel as if there could be anything in alignment with the relationship in any way. Can also be useful to notice differences between what feels familiar and what is genuinely aligned. So when you have a familiar connection, it can feel comfortable because we recognize the role that we play within it. So this is, so say if I might say I'm a good listener, but if I was only ever the listener to all of the relationships I have, I would feel comfortable because that's my role, but then I wouldn't really be, I don't think I would be feeling as if I'm fulfilled in that relationship because I only have one role. So when you are only playing that one role, it might feel comfortable, but it may not really be serving for the relationship. So if you're the listener, the capable one, the helping person, the person who does everything and keeps everyone connected, the person who doesn't need anything, that kind of, these are the kinds of things that we step into these roles without even really realizing it when we are in a relationship. And this is where the aligned connection may come in, because absolutely those roles are needed, but maybe not all the time. And when we know how we belong in that relationship, then it feels as if it's more aligned to us, it feels more nourishing. And it gives us permission to maybe show up a little bit differently. And it also asks us to speak about ourselves rather than only listening, because there are some people who really have to get a real sense of trust before they are able to talk about things. And this is why they do become that listening type person. But when they're in an aligned connection, they could show up differently because they really feel as if they're being seen, respected, heard, all of those kinds of things. And then when they have this, I think the value of the relationship is then added to as well. So if we let ourselves be seen as a whole person rather than the role that we normally play, this is really is a healthy relationship, because it's kind of like that unconditional, and you really do feel as if there's a sense of belonging there, and as if that person's really got your back because, they're there, they get you, that kind of thing. Okay, so again, let's have a think about the connections we have in our life. And I'm just going to read through them and see which ones might feel right for you. And when you think of the people that are in your life, the connections that you have, which people allow you to feel most like yourself? So we're going to just think about that for a moment, because that's the crux of what I've just been explaining, that it is important to have that feeling when you are in an aligned connection. And is there a relationship that you have where you feel you have to edit, explain, or diminish yourself? And if you do, then maybe that's not really an aligned connection. And I know we all have people that we are connected with in circles, our family, work, other areas that we move through, where we may come into contact with people who I don't make us feel intimidated or feel as if we do have to overly explain ourselves to them. Doesn't mean to say we have to be in their proximity all of the time. And which relationships are you in that feel reciprocal at the moment, where you feel as if there is that genuine respect and there's that give and take, and everything feels like it's being nurtured, and it just feels like the alignment is just there? And which connections regularly leave you feeling nourished? Maybe if you're in a relationship that's reciprocal, I would imagine that you would feel nourished. Maybe you have a relationship that feels a little bit different, still feels good, but you might have two different relationships that feel a bit different. And are there some relationships which regularly drain you? They make you feel drained, they make you feel overlooked or uncertain. And I've had relationships like this as well. And again, sometimes if this is someone at work, there's not much that you can do about that. But what you can do is then observe it, recognize it, and then know how, at the end of the workday, to release yourself from this feeling and cut the cords and release yourself from that feeling, so you can go home and not have to worry about that. And what qualities are present in the connections that feel healthiest? So what do you really like, value, enjoy about these connections that you have, that you really feel are the most nourishing relationships that you have? And then once you name it, maybe going forward, that might give you a little bit of a green light for attracting other people in, if that's what your intention is. So again, if there's anything in here that you've thought of and you've written down, you might want to underline it or circle it. And as we're going through this, this is not about you creating a list of people to remove from your life, because we can't remove all of these kinds of people from our life. There's relationships that you have a choice over, and there's some you don't. So we're not judging anybody as good or bad. We're just noticing about how we experience ourselves in the presence of that person. And we are potentially flagging if there's a way where we can kind of like fill our cup again if we have been in the presence of someone who doesn't really give us that aligned feeling. Now, there's another part of finding aligned connection that's worth considering, and it's not only about identifying the kind of people that you want, it's about becoming able to recognize and choose and participate in that kind of relationship when it becomes available. So you might identify someone, and then, but then what? How do you then approach that person or become involved in that? And this idea comes up in conversations often about romantic relationships. So someone might have a clear idea about what kind of partner they want, and they want someone to be emotionally available, self-aware, honest, respect, willing to grow, all of those kind of things. And clarity comes often from relationships that haven't worked, and relationships that we don't want to repeat. So someone who's looking for a relationship might say, I want someone that's done the work, and whatever that means to that person. And normally it would be someone who really has become aware of themselves, and is also willing to change and evolve with their own personal growth. And it's completely understandable that people want this, but at the same time, there's an underlying little question about this. And the question could be, am I ready to participate in the kind of relationship I say I want? And the reason I say this is not because anybody needs to fix themselves to become perfect to to participate in a relationship that they feel that they deserve. Everyone's worthy of a healthy relationship, but a healthy relationship may ask someone to do things that feel unfamiliar. So this is where the personal growth I was talking about. So if you're wanting someone that is working and done the work as such, then you also need to be in that same space. Someone who also feels as if they want to grow. And when you feel unfamiliar, uncomfortable, that's usually where the growth is. So it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It's a good thing. And it helps you communicate what you need, and it allows everybody in that relationship to be seen properly. And when everyone's on the same page, the care inside that relationship becomes more nourishing. And some of the roles that you have in that relationship change as well. They evolve. It's not really like a bad change, it's like they evolve. So if someone has always been known as, I'm the strong one, I'm the capable one, then they find someone who they really have felt an aligned connection with, and that person has given them permission to, with their personal growth, to try new things, then the role that they've had of being the capable one may actually slip away, and it could be more of a joint partnership. So maintaining boundaries, even when you're afraid of losing someone, is also really important. Recognizing emotional steadiness rather than confusing intensity with connection. And it's not only true of romantic relationships, it really applies to any relationship that we're talking about as well. Even, the relationship that you have with, say, if you go to a shop all the time and you're always purchasing something from there, that's a relationship. And that relationship that you're having with that person over the counter should feel warm and nurturing as well. So it's friendship, community, it could even be a romantic relationship. So we may say that we want deep relationships, reciprocal friendships, but we still find ourselves choosing people who need rescuing. And sometimes it can be frustrating. And in human design, often my clients with human design who have a 3 or a 6 in their profile, these are the trial and error profile lines. This is your personality line. Often if they've got a 3 or a 6, they have been down this road and they feel as if they've made a lot of mistakes in their life, but these are really life lessons. So if you can become the listener while revealing very little about yourself, and you wait for the other person to initiate everything, you could be hiding the very parts of yourself that someone most wants to understand. So when you continue close relationships where we feel we must earn our place. So these are the little red flags that might come up. Or maybe you are overlooking quieter, healthier connections because there wasn't an immediate spark. But if we sat down and we spoke to that person, got to know them, maybe, something else might come of it. So personal growth doesn't magically summon certain people into our lives. It changes what we notice. It changes what we accept. It changes how we communicate, and it changes the spaces we enter. I know myself, over the last definitely, I'd say probably 8 years, the spaces where I enter now, where I meet people, is vastly different. It is more the events that I tend to go to are more aligned, like breathwork, meditation, personal growth type events. It's not hanging out at the local pub or, anything like that. And if you are going to those kinds of spaces, and you are looking for connection with people, you are more likely to find someone who's going to be aligned, because that's where they are as well. So you don't have to become more worthy of good relationships through all of this, because we're all worthy of good relationships. And sometimes over this learning and personal growth period, it's about becoming more available for them. And as we become clearer about ourselves, we then are able to recognize and we choose the nurturing connections of who we want. So you might say to yourself, am I trying to find different people while continuing to relate in some way? Am I trying to find different people while continuing to relate in the same way? It's an interesting question, because you are you, and if you are always attracting the same people in, then you won't attract different people unless you somehow have some kind of change in yourself. So there's no shame in whatever you notice. We all develop ways of relating that once helped us feel safe, needed or accepted. Awareness simply gives us more choice. And I've personally probably widened my circle of friends since I've been hanging out, like hanging out in these beautiful aligned spaces, because these are the people that have done the work around working on themselves and their personal growth. They're on a personal growth journey as well. And that to me brings a lot of alignment. Right, so we're going to finish with a short guided process. So close your eyes, just get comfortable. You may just soften or your glaze or look down. Make yourself as comfortable as you can. Take a slow breath in and gently let it go. Feel the support of the chair underneath you. Notice your feet on the floor. There's nothing you need to force or make happen. Imagine yourself entering a space where you feel genuinely welcome. Maybe indoors or outdoors. It might be somewhere familiar, or it might be somewhere you've never seen before. You don't need to impress anyone here, and you do not need to prove that you belong. You do not need to be entertaining, helpful, capable, or easy to be around. You are simply allowed to be yourself. Just how your body feels in this space. Do your shoulders feel different? Does your breathing change? Do you feel more open, more settled, or more at ease? Now become aware of the people around you. You don't need to see their faces clearly. Instead, notice how you feel in their presence. Do you feel heard, relaxed, safe, energized, inspired, accepted? And notice the version of you who exists within this kind of connection. How does she speak? What does she allow herself to say? What does she no longer need to hide? Does she allow other people to support her? Does she trust that she does not have to earn her place? Notice what she brings to the people around her. Perhaps it's warmth, honesty, humour, curiosity, calm, encouragement, wisdom, presence. Now quietly ask yourself, what qualities matter most to me in connection? Allow a few words to come to mind. Ask yourself, is there an existing relationship I would like to nurture more intentionally? And now ask, where might the woman I am becoming naturally spend her time? Don't force an answer, just simply notice if a place, group, activity, community, or anything else comes to mind. Now ask, what is one small step I could take towards more aligned connection? It may be sending a message, accepting an invitation, returning to a group you enjoyed, trying something new, speaking more honestly, allowing yourself to be seen, or simply becoming clearer about what you want. You do not need to know exactly who all of the people in your life are. Now, simply notice what aligned connection feels like for you. Take another slow breath in and let it go. And begin to bring your awareness back into the room. Move your hands and your feet. And when you're ready, gently open your eyes and welcome back into the room. Welcome back from that beautiful meditation. Now, just think about these little journaling points. If you're watching on the replay, press pause and have a chance to journal with them. So the first one is aligned connection feels like. So what does aligned connection feel like to you? This gives you a chance to jot it down and really think about what it could be. And the next one, the qualities I want more of are. So during that short meditation, maybe you had something presented to you about what you really want to value in a connection. The qualities I want more of are. I wonder what that could be. And an existing connection I may want to nurture is maybe there is someone that you feel you could have a stronger connection with. And a place or possibility I feel curious about is really get curious about where there could be a good opportunity for you to meet some people who really would be aligned with the same path that you're on. Then the last one is one small action I will take. So set yourself a little goal, and doesn't have to be a dramatic goal. It could just be as simple as inviting someone for coffee, sending a message to a person that you've been thinking about or a friend that you haven't seen for a while. Maybe it's attending an event or joining a group. Maybe there's a walking group or a singing group or an acting group or something that you have seen and you've thought to yourself, I'm not doing that. Well, maybe this is the time. Maybe this is the invitation you need. Maybe you used to do something and you stopped doing it, and you think that if you return to doing that, I used to enjoy it, so I might return back to it, and then I would meet some people. Maybe in the reflections, you might notice where maybe you could show up a little bit more honestly in a relationship that you might already have that really matters to you, and not always be the listener or the strong one. And maybe you can have the courage to be a little bit more vulnerable in that relationship. Any connection we have, it does require some effort. Relationships are usually, like I like to think, they're a work in progress, because they're constantly evolving. As we grow, the relationship grows. But if you've got an aligned connection, it shouldn't require you to continually abandon yourself, prove your worth, or chase people who are only meeting you halfway. Because I've been there with a friendship and it doesn't feel good. It actually feels as if you're not being valued, not respected, or not even considered. Even that's how I was feeling. So as we finish tonight, I want to leave you with this. Finding your people is not about becoming more acceptable to more people. It's more about becoming clear on you being able to recognize the places where you can truly be yourself. And some relationships belong to a particular season, and once its season's past, the relationship is also past. Some you can put a different rhythm into it, and you can spark that relationship back, and you can get the little rhythm going. And then there's others that you have which you think, okay, yep, this one is ready to go deeper. Some new connections may become possible as you become more visible. So if you start visiting somewhere, you get to know the people, and then you then form more connections with them. More honest and more available people. Also, these are the kind of relationships that you genuinely want. You don't need more people simply for the sake of having more people. What we're looking for here is the right people. And the right connections, they don't ask you to disappear in order to belong. connection begins with clarity, not effort. And that clarity comes from you, from within. And when you know what that clarity is of what you're looking for, often it's a reflection of where you are right at this point in time. And then it does make it so much easier. So thank you for joining me tonight and giving yourself this time. And I just want to really honour the fact that you have given yourself this time. It's lovely. And you are welcome to come to any of these masterclasses that I have. Always the first Thursday of every month, unless I'm in Bali, which has happened the last 2 times. So that's what I invite you to do. And if there's any takeaways that you have, would be happy for you to share it. And I really thank you for coming along. Thank you.